Hi and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Liz and this is A Catholic Mother's Journey. I'm really pleased you're joining me today. So today I felt like the Lord wanted me to talk on here about baptism in the Holy Spirit and my experience of this. So baptism in the Holy Spirit can be described as an experience of being filled with the power of the Holy Spirit. It's not a sacrament itself, but our baptismal graces come alive when we have baptism in the Holy Spirit. Now, my experience of this was that it was absolutely life-changing. So just to go back a few years, when I was 18 years old, my mum took me along to Life in the Spirit seminars that were being run in our parish. And so I went to these seminars and I was prayed with to be filled with the Holy Spirit. But I have to be honest, I didn't feel a thing, nothing changed, just didn't feel anything at all. But I was 18 years old then and I wasn't really into my faith at all. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll know that I had a deep conversion in my faith much later on as an adult. And back then, although I was a Catholic and brought up a Catholic, I wasn't really living my faith. My faith wasn't alive. I wasn't really in tune with it or particularly open to baptism in the Holy Spirit. But I do believe, looking back, that a seed was sown then anyway, even though I didn't feel anything. But fast forward to a later time as an adult, probably about 6 years ago now, I attended a conference, and a Christian conference, and I was prayed with for baptism in the Holy Spirit. And this time I was much more open to it. I'd already had a conversion to my faith that I've talked about in my testimony video. If you've not seen that video, I'll link to it again below. Please do check that out. It's all about how my son George, who's now 9, became unwell as a baby and became brain damaged, and it was a very difficult time for us. And it was from then that I really turned to my faith and had a deep conversion. So this was after that I had baptism in the Holy Spirit. And when I had this around 6 years ago, it really did change my life. My life was transformed overnight. It really was a profound experience of the power of the Holy Spirit. I just felt so different immediately after I'd been prayed with. You know, I felt a really deep sense of joy and peace and love, and that life was different. You know, it all just meant so much more. It was so different to me. It wasn't just that I had a faith in God that I was taught as a child, being brought up as a Catholic, but it was just a real sense of it being so true and real, and Jesus was so close to me, and I just felt that closeness and that power in me. It's almost hard to describe, but it was so real and it was so true, and it made me want to just go and tell everyone I knew about it, you know, how this was all so real and how they could experience it for themselves as well. And life really did change after that. I really did experience the fruits of the Spirit, you know, things like peace, patience. I think I was a terribly impatient person before then. I was able to be more patient generally. I had more peace in my life. You know, things were just different. I was able to just experience God's grace more fully after that. And just certain things in my life really changed. Just to give you a very small example, it might sound very small, it might sound silly, but I used to listen to pop music a lot. You know, and as a young person, as a teenager, I used to love listening to things like rock music, like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, the Stone Roses I used to love as well. And I used to love that kind of thing. And then as an older adult, I still listen to pop music. I probably didn't listen to those bands anymore, but I used to listen to pop music, and it was just part of my life. I never really saw a problem with it. And I suddenly, after I'd had baptism in the Holy Spirit, I just didn't want to listen to any of it anymore. And that's not in a sort of judgmental way that I mean that, in a sort of pious, I'm so elevated and holy now, look at me, I don't even listen to pop music. No, it's not like that at all. And I'm not condemning you if you listen to pop music at all. I'm not saying it's all bad. And some of it is bad, let's be honest, but not all of it is. But it just wasn't something that I wanted in my life anymore. It seemed to interfere with that closeness and that peace I had from the Holy Spirit. It just wasn't consistent with what I'd experienced, and I just didn't want to listen to it anymore. So just little things like that changed. And, you know, I've heard other people say to me when they've had baptism in the Holy Spirit, after that, they no longer use swear words anymore. You know, I've spoken to people who've sworn a lot in their language previously, and then they no longer want to swear anymore. And it's true, you no longer want to sort of hear that language anymore. You don't want to hear anyone blaspheming. Not that I used to blaspheme, but just even hearing it, you sort of change and become so sensitive to it, and it's upsetting to hear it when you hear other people doing it. Again, I'm not being judgmental. I don't mean that judgmentally. This is a non-judgmental channel, but I'm just sharing with you my experience of how much it changed me. So lots of things changed. I do believe, you know, I became, well, it's a process. It wasn't all overnight, but I started to become just a more peaceful person. I had more peace in my life. I do believe I was given more grace to be a better mother, a better wife. You know, lots of things just little by little started to change for the better. And I'm not saying I've reached any level of perfection in any of my life, but it's an improvement from where I was before I had that experience. So I just want to encourage you, if you've not had baptism in the Holy Spirit, please do have it. It is life-changing. And another big thing that changed for me was I was able to start hearing God's voice myself. I started little by little after that to be able to hear his voice. Not overnight, but I really did change in that respect. And I was able to take the guidance that he was giving me and apply it to my life. And I was able to change my focus and my path in life and start to be able to follow him more after that. So definitely I would encourage you to have it if you've not had it already. And if you've had it before but you didn't feel anything, you know, it might be like me, maybe a seed was sown but you haven't yet felt the full force of the power of the Holy Spirit. So don't lose heart. Don't think that it's not for you or it's only for special people or anything like that, because that's definitely not true. God doesn't have favourites like that at all. You know, it might be like my experience. I think a seed was sown, but I wasn't really open to it at that point in my life. I do believe there needs to be an element of surrender where you're open to it and you are willing to surrender to the power of the Holy Spirit for you to be able to really experience it for yourself. And you may be watching and think, well, I'm probably more traditional than that. I'm a traditional churchgoer. I'm not really into, you know, the charismatic renewal. But I would just encourage you that it's about receiving the Holy Spirit. And, you know, I did feel a bit like that myself initially as well, you know, a little bit wanting to retain control, being afraid of falling over or anything like that. But in the end, we all need more of the Holy Spirit. And I'd really encourage you to put those fears aside and just go for it, because it's definitely worth it. So I hope that video has blessed and encouraged you. Please do take a moment to like and share the video with anyone who comes to mind when you're watching it. Please do share with anyone you think might like to see it. Thank you so much for watching today, and I pray that you have a blessed day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. So until then, God bless. Bye.